council meeting to order. May we have roll call, please?
Jonathan McKay,
Here.
Michael Snar,
Here.
Bill Learman,
Here.
Bob Osborne,
Here.
Michael Albright,
Here.
Nick Evelyn, Matt Perky.
Here. Seeing everyone present, would you stand and join us?
So we need to move to have an excuse.
We don't have everyone present.
I'll make a motion to excuse Councilman Eden.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? He is excused, but I am so sorry. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Anyone that wishes to speak tonight in the open session, be sure you put your name on the sign-up sheet on the podium. Under President, we have the agenda to be approved. What is your pleasure?
Move be accepted as presented.
Second.
Motion second to accept the agenda as presented. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda is accepted as presented. You also have before you the February 2nd, 2023 regular meeting minutes. What is your pleasure?
Move they be accepted as presented.
Sure we can.
Yeah, just a minor change. Neil Rager was the sergeant at arms.
May we have a motion, please?
Move they be accepted as amended.
Second.
Motion second to accept the council meeting minutes as amended. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are accepted. Bob? Okay, we are also announcing a public hearing to be held on March 2nd, 2023, on a petition for planned unit development, PUD, of 28.60 acres, more or less, more commonly known as 1057 North Lincoln Street. That's all I have. Mr. Mayor.
I want to start out with a note on the follow-up last meeting. I was going to address the Pitzer issue, but I have been given this note, given that Mr. Pitzer's complaint has now been officially filed in the Clinton County Common Pleas Court against the city. It is recommended by council that no one should respond to any questions related to Casey Pitzer incident or comment on the issue. Our deadline to respond is March 8th, 2023. I also have a correction. Last time I misspoke on Mulberry Street about, here's the mic. Thank you, Mark. They're not breaking ground for the condos down there. They're breaking it for a new business going to be called Willie's, a bike shop with a cafe, and of course that's located on Market Street right there next to the bike trail. February 21st, 5 to 8, Faith Lutheran Church is to host a pancake dinner known as Fat Tuesday. Faith Lutheran, of course, is out in Prairie. February 22nd, April 5th, from 11 to 1, there's going to be Lenten lunches at the Wilmington Methodist Church, $7 donation. And the Catholics, not to be outdone, February 24th through March 31st, they're going to have their fish fry. And that'll be from 4:30 to 7, and there's a $14 charge for a complete meal. Do a very nice job down there. I wanted to comment on the railroad derailment way over in eastern Ohio. We are so fortunate to have two sources of water here. If we have an issue, Talent Creek's in trouble, we can switch to Cedar Street, or we can switch back the other way. And the amount of incorrect information that is floating around the internet just astounds me. There are people that are upset downstream from that spill that are worried about pollution of their water sources. Water still flows downhill, folks. They're worried about the aquifer being polluted. We need to study how long it takes moisture to get into an aquifer. It's a long time. And it's very simple for the downstream water companies. They simply shut off their intake as it moves past. I don't want to make light of the issues out there, but we would be prepared if something like that happened, as we were, Bill, was it 20 years ago? And it just can't be, I thought, outstanding. Hopefully, we'll never have to go through that again. And speaking of outstanding, Andrea, congratulations. Bill, congratulations on your wife.
And she's the star of the family, I'll tell you that, for years.
Two excellent choices. And you can file this under useless, needless information. 100 years ago today, King Tutankhamun was discovered. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, appreciate that. Auditor Vance.
Nothing tonight, Mr. President.
Thank you. Safety Service Director, Mr. Scheidegger, welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have 3 pieces of legislation. Mr. Mayor didn't say it's for the outstanding, they're outstanding, obviously, it's for the outstanding women in Clinton County. So, congratulations. First piece of legislation is 3 readings on Resolution 2310. It's authorizing the Director of Public Service to execute LPA federal local-led project agreements, all necessary documents for ODOT. This is dealing with pedestrian safety improvements that I presented, when was that, back in December? Anyways, it's the pedestrian safety improvements, the crossing at North South, near the library, South Street near Zayas Park, Locust Street, by Fiesta Veracruz, Mulberry Trail, Holmes Elementary, and Thorn Avenue. So we did get awarded the grant dollars for that. And just to refresh your memory, the total project is approximately $491,774, and the grant award is $402,360.80. So pretty good grant there. So I just need authorization to sign all the necessary documents and get this out to bid. Any questions about that?
Would someone introduce that legislation, please?
Sure. I'll move to give Resolution 2310 a first reading by title only.
Second. Have a motion by Perky, second by Lear. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. May we have first reading, please?
A resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service to execute LPA Federal Local Let Project Agreement number 38,000 and all necessary documents with ODOT for the CLI Wilmington Crossing FY 23 PID 117146.
Move to suspend the rules and regulations and give Resolution 2310 a second and third reading by title only.
Second.
We have a motion and second for suspension of rules. May we have roll call, please?
Sure.
Thank
McKay,
Yes.
Snar,
Yes.
Learman,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Albright,
Yes.
Perky.
Yes.
Motion carries. May we have second and third reading, please?
A resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service to execute LPA Federal Local Let Project Agreement number 38,000 and all necessary documents with ODOT for the CLI Wilmington Crossing FY 23 PID 117146.
Move to pass Resolution 2310 as read.
Second.
Moved by Perky, second by Learman. For passage, roll call, please.
Snar,
Yes.
Learman,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Albright,
Yes.
Perky,
Yes.
McKay.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution 2310 passes.
All right, the next piece of legislation I have this evening is authorizing advertising for bids for the Rollback Elizabeth Lane Traffic Signal Construction Project, authorizing the Public Service Director to enter into a contract with the lowest and best bidder. Authorizing expenditure of funds for the same and declared emergency. Timing is of the essence, that's why we have this as an emergency. If you recall, we did do this before as a design build bid, and the bids came in astronomical. The good news is, we did well, that's right, but we didn't get any.
That was the
That was
Because it's the bridge.
because we didn't get any. So that's even worse than having high bids. So, good news is we have all the materials and we have all the design ready to go. So this is just for construction only. So we'd like to put this out to bid for construction.
Need a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to, for the first reading of Resolution 2311.
Second.
Motion by McKay, second by Learman. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? May we have first reading, please?
A resolution authorizing advertising for bids for the Wambach Elizabeth Lane Traffic Signal Construction Project, authorizing the Director of Public Service to enter into contract with the lowest and best bidder, authorizing expenditure of funds for same, and declaring an emergency.
Move to suspend rules and regulations, give resolution second and third reading by title only.
Second.
Motion second for suspension of rules. Roll call, please.
Learman,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Albright,
Yes.
Perky,
Yes.
McKay.
Yes.
Snar.
Yes.
Motion carries. Second and third reading, please.
A resolution authorizing advertising for bids for the Wambach Elizabeth Lane Traffic Signal Construction Project, authorizing the Director of Public Service to enter into contract with the lowest and best bidder, authorizing expenditure of funds for same, and declaring an emergency.
I'll move for passage of Resolution 2311.
Second.
Motion second for passage. Roll call, please.
Osborne,
Yes.
Albright,
Yes.
Perky,
Yes.
McKay,
Yes.
Snar,
Yes.
Learman.
Yes.
Resolution 2311 passes.
All right, the final piece of legislation is related to the one you just passed. We applied for a grant with the Ohio Jobs and Commerce from the Ohio Department of Transportation, and we were awarded $45,000 to help pay for the signal that you just approved that goes out to bid. So I'm asking for a resolution accepting Jobs and Commerce grant from the Ohio Department of Transportation in support of the CLI Wambach and Elizabeth signal, authorizing the mayor to execute documents and declare an emergency.
May we have a motion, please?
Make a motion for the first reading of Resolution 2312. Second.
Motion by McKay, second by Osborne. First reading, Resolution 2312. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First reading, please.
A resolution accepting a Jobs and Commerce grant from the Ohio Department of Transportation in support of the CLI Wambach and Elizabeth signal, authorizing the mayor to execute documents and declaring an emergency.
Move to suspend the rules and regulations, give second and third reading by title only.
Second.
Motion second for suspension of rules. Roll call, please.
Albright,
Yes.
Perky,
Yes.
McKay,
Yes.
Snar,
Yes.
Learman,
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Motion carries. May we have second and third reading?
A resolution accepting a Jobs and Commerce grant from the Ohio Department of Transportation in support of the CLI Wambach and Elizabeth signal, authorizing the mayor to execute documents and declaring an emergency.
Move for passage.
Second.
Motion second by Osborne for passage. Roll call, please.
Perky,
Yes.
McKay,
Yes.
Snar,
Yes.
Learman,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Albright.
Yes.
Resolution 2312 passes.
All right, that's all the legislation I have tonight, Mr. President. Quick PowerPoint presentation. We are going after safety projects. This is just a heads up. There's no action on this. I just want to give you a heads up of what we're looking at between now and the next council meeting. This is just letting you know we're going to apply for safety funds. This is pursuing 7 pedestrian crossings within the city of Wilmington. And these are identified by the city and public as locations that need safety treatments. The funding that we're going to be requesting is $996,335 with a match of approximately $200,000, $201 to be exact. This will be divided over fiscal years 24, 25, and 26, but we're trying to work with ODOT to move that up on schedule, and we're hopeful that we'll be able to. The award we can get notification of the award as early as April, so this is something that we're going to be applying for quickly, and it's a quick turnaround as far as whether or not they will award the grant. Again, the project timeline is somewhere from 24 to 26, 2024, 2026, but again, we're trying to move that up on the timeline. Priorities in this project is Xenia Lorsch and South Street intersection, Nelson Avenue sidewalk. These priorities are based on crossings along major roadways with a history of safety concerns. And these are very high-level conceptual design pictures of what we're talking about. So the Xenia Lorsch, South Street, if you can, it's hard to see. You'll have more detail on this later. But this is just a overview of some of the things that we're looking at. The Nelson sidewalk, there where the swim club is, and the apartments, to connect this sidewalk to the sidewalk across the street. Lorish and Lincoln, you got the bump outs. This is for the kids getting to school. You have the bump outs with the crosswalks and the new signage. Lorish and Walnut, the same thing. Crosswalks with the signage, new signage. Lorish and Virginia, again, bump outs, crosswalk, signage, and then Prairie Crossing. There's nowhere to cross along Prairie, so there's a Prairie Crossing right here. This, we are applying for the blinking lights. We as well as over there on Virginia Circle as well. So that's, and then finally the South Street crossing. This is, where's this in front of again? It's on South Street.
Connect down.
Oh, that's the,
Yeah, do you recognize the houses? Yeah.
that's a, yeah, so that is south of Xenia and Lorish. It's like down south, yeah.
Fulton Street.
Mhm.
Right.
It's above Fulton.
Yeah. So that's it. Any questions about that? Just want to give you a heads up that we're going to be applying for.
Brian, can you go back to Virginia Circle,
Yes.
please?
Yep, right here.
Okay, I know where that's at now. Okay.
This is going into the school right here.
Yeah, okay, I couldn't figure that out where that was at, and you went too quick, so, thank you.
Yeah, if anybody wants copies of this too,
Yeah.
I can get copies for you.
The one there at Virginia Circle is very badly needed, and it's been needed for many, probably decades, so, thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. President?
No, sir.
Any questions from council? Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schottiger. All right, under Council Committee Reports and Action, City Revitalization Committee, Mr. McKay.
Yes, we do have something, Mr. President. We had the first reading in last council. This is just cleaning up the city revitalization and the retained hotel lodging tax money committee. And I haven't had any questions, and I'll ask for questions now if there are any. Seeing none, I will move for the second and third reading on Resolution 2309.
Second.
Motion by McKay, second by Michael. Suspension of rules. May we have roll call, please?
McKay,
Yes.
Snar,
Yes.
Learman, Osborne,
Yes.
Albright,
Yes.
and Turkey.
Yes.
Motion carries. May we have second and third reading, please?
A resolution establishing a city revitalization grant review committee and authorizing said committee to adopt an application guide for the city revitalization grant program.
Move for passage.
Second.
Motion second for passage. Roll call, please.
Snar,
Yes.
Learman,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Albright,
Yes.
Turkey,
Yes.
and McKay.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution 2309 passes.
Brad, congratulations, go to work.
Okay.
That's all we have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Evelyn's not with us. Does anybody have anything under city service?
We have no report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Finance Committee, Mr. Albright.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have one item, 3 readings on ordinance 2310, making some supplemental appropriations from our summary of new finance items verbatim. It's for the cemetery fund and capital equipment for $65,000 for the purchase of a truck at Sugar Grove Cemetery. And the second item is from the waste to capital equipment for $90,000 for the purchase of a tractor and drag scraper for the landfill. This replaces equipment that was stolen in 2022. So we receive an insurance payment for the value of the old equipment, which is valued at approximately $53,000 to offset the cost of the replacement. So, any specific questions on those two appropriations? Seeing none, I move to give the first reading on ordinance 2310 by title only.
Second.
Motion by Albright, second by McKay. First reading, ordinance 2310. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First reading, please.
An ordinance making supplemental appropriations.
I move to suspend the rules and regulations, give ordinance 2310 second and third reading by title only.
Second.
Motion and second for suspension of the rules. Roll call, please.
Learman,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Albright,
Yes.
Perky,
Yes.
McKay,
Yes.
and Snar.
Yes.
Motion carries. May we have second, third reading?
An ordinance making supplemental appropriations.
Move to pass ordinance 2310 as read.
Second. Motion second for passage. Roll call, please.
Osborne,
Yes.
Albright,
Yes.
Perky,
Yes.
McKay,
Yes.
Snar,
Yes.
and Learman.
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance 2310 passes.
No additional items, Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you. Judiciary Committee, Mr. Perky.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. We do have a few things that carry over from last meeting, as well as 3 new items tonight. So the first one is ordinance 2307. This deals with the cemetery rules and regulations. If you remember, we did a first reading of this in our last meeting. We did have a question, was it Jamie Knowles? You had asked about the perpetual care and how, so Andrea and I were talking about that, and she did share with me the fee schedule. When you purchase a plot there, it includes our definition of perpetual care. So it says that all sites, whether you purchase or not, come with perpetual care. So that's listed as included. Perpetual care is included in the price when a grave is purchased at Sugar Grove Cemetery. Perpetual care shall include the mowing of lots and the filling of depressed graves. So when it comes to the headstone maintenance or flowers or things like that, that's not our responsibility for. So I know there was a question there that we had asked about last time. So I just wanted to provide some clarity there. We looked, if need be, we would amend this, but as long as the fee schedule that the citizens are seeing when they purchase graves, is the same, and it is. So I just wanted to clear that up. Are there any other questions or discussion we need to have about this? Okay. Seeing none, I'll move for the suspension of rules and regulations and give ordinance 2307 second and third reading by title only.
Second. Motion by Perky, second by McKay. Suspension of the rules, ordinance 2307. Roll call, please.
Albright,
Yes.
Perky,
Yes.
McKay,
Yes.
Snar,
Yes.
Learman,
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Motion carries. May we have second and third reading?
An ordinance amending certain sections of chapter 935 cemetery rules and regulations of the Wilmington codified ordinances.
I move to pass ordinance 2307 as read.
Second. Motion second for passage. Roll call, please.
Perky,
Yes.
McKay,
Yes.
Snar,
Yes.
Learman,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Albright.
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance 2307 passes.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is a second and third reading of ordinance 2308. This dealt with the indigent burial policy. I know we did a first reading on this the last meeting, so I'm happy to open up the floor for any questions or discussion that needs to happen there. Okay. Seeing none, I'll move to suspend the rules and regulations and give ordinance 2308 a second and third reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Perky, seconded by Osborne for the suspension of the rules, ordinance 2308. Roll call, please.
McKay,
Yes.
Snar,
Yes.
Learman,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Albright,
Yes.
Perky.
Yes.
Motion carries. May we have second and third reading?
An ordinance amending certain sections of chapter 937 indigent burial policy of the Wilmington codified ordinances.
Move to, zoom in here, sorry. Move to pass 2308 as read.
Second.
Motion second for passage. Roll call, please.
Snar,
Yes.
Learman,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Albright,
Yes.
Perky,
Yes.
and McKay.
Yes. Ordinance 2308 passes.
All right, thank you. Next item on our agenda tonight is 2309. We had a discussion of this last time. It's the ordinance that amends certain section of our deal with animals and fowl in the city of Wilmington. We did have a Beth Huber, I thought I saw you back there. Beth had sent me an email asking about if some of you remember a few years ago we had to make a special provision for hunting in the city limits at the air park. Those with an FAA license sometimes have to do geese mitigation. So this does not interfere with that, so I told Beth I would do some follow-up on that. It does not have any change to that, doesn't impact it at all. So just wanted to clarify that before we moved on. Are there any other questions or discussion? Okay. Seeing none, I'll move for the first reading of ordinance 2309 by title only.
Second.
Motion by Perkins, second by Albright, first reading ordinance 2309. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? May we have first reading, please?
An ordinance amending certain sections, adding certain sections to chapter 505 criminals and foul of the Wilmington Codified Ordinances.
All right, let's do the second reading at our next meeting. So moving on from that one, the next item on our agenda, if you remember, we had two, I'll say novellas, if you like, two short novels for you to read through about. The first one's 2311 was dealing with changes to the traffic code. Remember, we had to update our code to reflect changes in the Ohio Revised Code, and we found a lot of inconsistencies and a few errors and things like that. So I know Andrea has been reviewing this, Brett has, I know Chief Fitham has as well, so kind of making sure that we've got everything in there. So included in your packet was a summary of the changes. Did everybody get a chance to look at that? I know it's a lot, but you can kind of see in bold the things that were added and removed, the strike throughs. I think it's pretty concise as to what we're trying to do here. So, are there any discussion we need to have about that? No. Okay. Seeing none, I'll move for the first reading of ordinance 2311 by title only.
Second.
Motion by Perky, second by Snar, first reading ordinance 2311. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First reading, please.
An ordinance to amend the codified ordinances of the city of Wilmington, Ohio, to provide amendments to certain sections of Part 3 Traffic Code, to provide for codification, to provide for supplementation, to provide for penalties, to provide for severability, to provide for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, to provide an effective date, and for other purposes.
Yeah. All right, let's do the second and third reading at our next meeting, please. The last thing I have on my agenda tonight is the follow-up piece to that, which is ordinance 2312, and that's the general offenses summary. So likewise, we found several things that needed to be changed and corrected, but you do have a list of all the updates there in front of you without having to get through all 65 pages again. It is a good way for everybody to kind of see what was changed and what was updated. So again, I know that the law director, the chief, and our esteemed clerk have spent hours going through them all, and I appreciate it to get us in compliance. So, any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll move for the first reading of ordinance 2312 by title only.
Second. Motion by Perky, second by McKay. First reading ordinance 2312. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Here we have first reading, please.
An ordinance to amend the codified ordinances of the city of Wilmington, Ohio, to provide amendments, deletions, and repeal to certain sections of Part 5, General Offenses Code, to provide for codification, to provide for supplementation, to provide for penalties, to provide for severability, to provide for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, to provide an effective date, and for other purposes.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Let's do the second and third reading at our next meeting, and that's all I have for the evening, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Perky. Public Works Enterprise, Mr. Starr.
No report, Mr. President, on legislation.
Thank you. You have before you the auditor's report, January 23, and the auditor's certification hotel lodging tax, fourth quarter 2022. What is your pleasure?
Move it be accepted as presented.
Second.
Motion and second to accept the two reports as presented. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Reports are accepted. Okay, we will now move into the section of the meeting that's open to the public. There was a statement that the mayor read earlier, just to reiterate, a note regarding Mr. Pitzer's recent complaint. Given that Mr. Pitzer's complaint has now been officially filed in the Clinton County Common Police Court against the city, It is recommended by council that no one should respond to any questions related to the Casey Pitzer incident or comment on the issue. Our deadline to respond is March 8th, 2023. Thank you. Now we'll move into the open public session, and the clerk will read the names of those that are signed up.
You have not signed, or you have? You will sign in? Okay. Right, thank you. Is there anyone else who needs this? Okay.
If anyone's unfamiliar with the procedure, the clerk will read your name, and then she will keep track of the length of time and let you know when your 3 minutes have elapsed.
Okay. First we have John Towner. Is that correct? There we go. Did I say your name correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome.
Hello.
And you just let me know when you're ready and I'll start.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, there you go.
Over the past 6 months, I have heard stories that were not complimentary to the community of Wilmington, having to do with vagrants and people who were here but not really from here, who are making it difficult, particularly the elderly, to feel safe in this little town that 10 years ago was very safe. For the past 6 months, I've been watching via social media vans dropping off folks from surrounding small cities to Wilmington in the morning range at 180 East Main Street. Therefore, we seem to be a waste dump for people that other towns will not tolerate. But I had to see it for myself to really believe it. As those of you who know me, my children and my 6 grandchildren are the love of my life. After losing my husband at a young age, they are the only salvation that has kept me going. Last Saturday evening, I took my 5 grandchildren, ages 12, 8, 6, 5, and 2, to the Dairy Queen. As I was walking back toward the car, I saw 2 men, one without a shirt, one with a backpack, pushing 2 bicycles, walking towards me. I was as close to you and I was scared. I unlocked my car, put my 2-year-old granddaughter in her car seat, but I couldn't even secure her in and told the other ones to lock the doors. I'm not here to blame anyone. I'm only here to tell you my story, and if you have ever had a situation where you have your babies in your control, it dawns on you that kidnapping, getting hurt, drug needles, and other things can be possibilities. No one should have to live in fear of going to the grocery, going to the park, going to a restaurant, taking a neighborhood walk, or utilizing the wonderful trails that flow through our beautiful town. I'm begging you to protect the citizens of our city that was once voted by 3 different publications in the mid-1990s as one of the top small cities to live in America, but no more. 4 years ago, I made a decision in my life to sell the home I was raised in, the home I raised my children in, and move to Wilmington. I loved my little town where I was raised and lived for most of my life. June 1st, 2023, I have lived in my home on John Chambers Drive for 5 years. It has been a great area for the past few years, but I now have a fear of letting my grandchildren play outside with no worries. I am beginning to regret moving to Wilmington. If we can't trust you and the police department, who can we trust? I am begging you to protect the citizens of this town. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next, Jason Stoops. You just let me know when you're ready. Okay.
This morning, Lee and I, by 9 a.m., had 6 phone calls and messages on our phone. You know, we may went east this morning on my back and seen the individuals camping in right in front of Denver Park. By the time Leah got there, PD and the know, seeing that animals were taken care of, PD had them packed up. And moving on, Lee had to take kids somewhere, so he's crisscrossed. The people were, two individuals homeless. She's pushing a shopping cart, pulling a wheelchair. He's flipping a dog crate full of easy covered cardboard. So I stopped, talked them into abandoning the dog crate there, so you can thank me for littering them out, or whatever. Talked them to get into Kroger's, under the shelter, and got them transported to the homeless shelter. The failure we're seeing here, PD was done, they could do nothing, there was no law being broken. So now we have these two individuals, mentally unstable, I mean, that's, I spoke to, there's no denying it, just wandering the street, we're lacking resources, we're lacking something, we're in between the police, and what, you know, I'm having trouble putting exact words yet, there's gotta be something here that we can do when they're not breaking the law, but they're unsafe, mentally unstable, and just wandering the streets and pouring down rain, pushing a shopping cart, wheelchair, and flipping a feces-filled box of, there's options out there. I mean, ask around and check into them. There's things we can do and stuff on the table. Neighboring counties are doing that should work here and help with our situation. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Jason. Next, we have Tony Thomas. Let me know when you're ready.
Before I address the council, I just want to, never mind, you already addressed that before we started about the Casey Petcher case, but I have in my possession a recording of Chief Ron Fiffen within the last 4 months stating to us he could not release records due to a contract between the two agencies, Wilmington and Montgomery County Coroner's Office. Is this why we have not yet got all the photos in the Casey Petcher case? Is this why we have not yet got all the photos in the Marvin Napier case? I'd like to also point out the director was a longtime resident, director of the Montgomery County Coroner's Offices, a longtime resident of Clinton County. Part of the cover-ups? Who knows? I also have in my possession an email from the same director of Montgomery County Coroner's Office that state last summer there has and never will be any contracts between the two agencies of Wilmington and Montgomery County. So who's the root cause of that lie? Because we were given this as an excuse to not release records for upwards of a year and a half. You know, photographs that are very pertinent and murder, and what we believe to be, thousands of are believed to be murder cases.
Okay, Tony?
Yes, ma'am.
Need to back up a little bit off the
I'm sorry.
line. Okay. I understand you.
Two things. Chief, you're either continuing the legacy of dishonesty that I recently proved your past two predecessors to be, or your employer is carrying on their legacy of lying to you, making all you good officers look like liars. I would like for you to confirm for me which that is. I would also like to know the name of the person who originated this lie that prevented the release of these records in a timely manner. I also have in my possession, Chief, your promise to execute your duty to the citizens of this city, one of them being me. Stating you were going to request a third-party investigation into Wilmington City Law Director Brett Ruddick for his attempt at pandering pornographic material of himself and his wife to me. I have the text messages. All of you will get that in emails this week. Please never, has this investigation begun? I would also like all of you to check your emails, as I just stated, as I will be sending you the text messages also from an out-of-state forensic pathologist who has seen pictures of Casey Petcher. She was straight. She was in fact straight. And these people aren't corrupt like we find ourselves in the midst of around Clinton County and those who were hired by them. Her right leg was also obviously broken, and I guarantee you when you see these pictures and you see the opinions of this real forensic pathologist, it'll blow your mind. We've been lied to. This man's been lied to for years, but it's all festering. There's thousands, if not millions, of people now looking at this and looking at you people as a body. Our police department, who is either being lied to by you people, saying there's a contract and obviously and he's just regurgitating what he's being told, which is what I believe. I don't believe the chief's a liar. I think he's being lied to. But we'll soon find out, to be determined. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg Pitzer.
Before I start, I'd like to say I received this letter through the mail from somebody in Cincinnati that's been following this case. And he told me to read this back to you guys since you won't answer anything else.
Are you ready to begin then?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I have spoken to you several times about the death of my beloved daughter, Casey. Unfortunately, you all have responded to my many questions and comments with icy silence. As you know, the Wilmington Police Department investigated her death, and the chief detective at the time oversaw the investigation. Little did I or the public know that the chief detective, a married man who was investigating Casey's disappearance and death, was engaged in inappropriate sexual behavior with female members of the Wilmington Police Department. According to investigative records from the Office of the Attorney General, the chief detective sent unsolicited pictures of his privates, I'm going to say, to female subordinates within the Wilmington Police Department. He engaged in other unethical and unwanted sexual advances. Most reasonable people would believe a man who would send unwelcome pictures of their genitals to female subordinates would be experienced impairments to their thought process and decision-making ability. Because of this behavior, the city of Wilmington has paid out more than $370,000 to settle sexual harassment claims against him, which doesn't include attorney fees. The chief investigator of my daughter's death obviously was experiencing skewed thinking, which certainly would affect his ability to properly process normal thoughts, hindered his capability to make rational investigative decisions. These implements call into question the many unanswered questions and gaps throughout the process. As you, as council members and mayor, going to settle for the findings of the investigator who may have been breaking the law himself and experiencing irrational thinkings at the time of the investigation? I'm requesting you reopen the case involving my daughter Casey, refer to an independent third-party law enforcement agency for investigation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next we have Daryl Petrie. Are you ready, Daryl?
Yes, I am.
Okay. There you go.
Again, this is the third time at council I'm going to discuss records. I was told 3 council meetings ago that they were working earnestly on my records request from back in October. Sunshine law states that these have to be given at a reasonable amount of time. I mean, is it 6 months? I mean, what's going on here? You guys are holding public records. You're withholding public records from all kinds of people. The lady that had the knife in her neck when SWAT team come in there and that happened, you guys have withheld the records from her. You want to give her the video. I mean, it tells the truth and you're withholding it. This city has done nothing besides withhold records, cover up ordeals, non-occurrence. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, what I'm going to promise you guys is if I don't get my records requests fulfilled by next council meeting, I'm going to file suit against you as well. So I'm sick of it. I think the public's sick of it. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's embarrassing as a whole, as a body, for you guys not to release the records that David Yost says belongs to the public. He says the public records of government belong to the people, not the government officials holding them. So what I'm saying is, release the records or you're going to do another suit. That's all I got to say. It's ridiculous.
Thank you. Anyone else?
That is it, unless someone else wants to add their name to the list.
Okay. Thank you all. We are now going to move into an executive session, so the room would need to be cleared, and we need the proper investigation.
Sure. Pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, section 122.22, item G, subsection 1, to deal with dismissal, discipline, demotion, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee. Moved into executive session.
We have a motion by Murphy, second by Learman, to move into executive session. May we have roll call,
Bierman,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Albright,
Yes.
Perky,
Yes.
Kay,
Yes.
Knopf,